you all for joining us. Before we start, there's a spillover area on that side. If it gets too crowded, and there's a spillover area outside where you can sit. So if it gets too crowded, those are the two places you can find space in. So I'll quickly get to it. We have a spectacular panel here. And Ashish was just saying the expectation is whenever you put 5 humorists together, they'll say, chalo ab chutkule sunayenge. And we'll all laugh.
It's basically that, because when the topic was just announced, comedy and humor in the first line, it sounds so serious.
है ना?
Like, यहाँ पे public बैठी है, इनको jokes सुनने हैं. Sorry.
But surprise them, Ashish. But seriously, Ashish is a fantastic writer. I've read many of his columns.
Thank you.
So humor is serious business. So let me start introducing everyone from this side. Sanjay Rajoura is one of Delhi's finest acts. I saw him first when he did an act called Jat in Mood, and I will never forget it. And I have stolen many jokes from there and passed them off as my own at parties. Thank you, Sanjay. Veer Das, many of you know, star, film star, Netflix star, and all those things. Thanks, Veer, for joining us. And an excellent act in comedy. He's been at it for a long time. And much of where it's reached, I think his persistence and effort has a lot to do with. Thank you. Radhika Vaz is actually an old friend, as in she's young,
Not
but
that
she's an old
fucking
friend. But she was actually in improv, which is different from comedy, as I was explained by her. But ever since, she has done improv and stand-up. One of her most well-known acts is Unladylike. She's written a book also, about which I've interviewed her. And her husband is here, and he's a very brave man indeed. Ashish Aikya, of course, all of you know AIB. It's the most well-known comedy brand in the country. He is 1/4 of that. They have had various FIRs.
Thanks. I thought they'd forgotten.
But don't let that bother you. Think about something else for now.
I put that on my Tinder bio. Have many FIRs.
And Anuvab. Anuvab will also be performing at the end of this, so do stay for that. Anuvab is a screenwriter who has written for cinema Lions of Punjab. And I am a Punjabi, but it is Lions. And he's got a stand-up act, one of which you'll be seeing. And he's been performing in Delhi and Bombay for the last 5 years, I think. 7? Okay. So let's get to it. Cliched as it will sound, let me start with the lady, if I may.
Thanks for calling me a lady.
Journalism, we've had several sessions through the day. Journalism is going through a churn because of various reasons, ranging from technology to breakdowns of economic models. Journalists are unable to talk truth to power, even if they want to. This whole thing that all journalists are fixed, it's not that. Certain models are broken. Do you think in that period, that onus has fallen on the humorist? And are humorists, I'm not trying to sound condescending or anything, but politically aware enough, because I know Sanjay has very radical views on that, so we'll come to you after this, to actually take on that mantle, or are the expectations too high? We're just being unfair.
I mean, it's a tough question to answer because I'm a comedian and I think I'm brilliant. But I am a comedian, and in fact, I write for the Times of India, and they're very clear about it. Radhika Vaz is a comedian. They should say Radhika is a comedian. She's not a journalist. We don't take any responsibility for any of the shit she writes. That's the only thing they didn't put there. But I don't blame them, because I think while journalists can have a sense of humor about things, I personally look at them for my news. I don't necessarily look at a comedian for news. Even when I would watch like Samantha Bee or any of like the big shows which are news sort of oriented, I look for the jokes. I'm not really there for the news necessarily. I'm there for a comedian's take on the news. And I think it'd be sad if that's the place everyone was going to for their news. But I will say one thing, and that we all agree on, is that as comedians, we have way more flexibility. We can have a strong opinion, and we can propagate it in whatever language we want because we're comedians. Whereas I think journalists don't have that freedom. The one freedom journalists don't have and we don't have is freedom of speech. That's another issue altogether.
I see. Sanjay, another line of yours that I often steal is, if you don't choose your politics will choose you. You know, several people say, I don't have a view on this, I don't have a view on that, until the shit comes into your college and you have been, without, specifically identifying anyone, you have been critical of some comics who have a social commentary, or they think they do, without understanding the social context of caste, class. Do you think that's also because of the pressure of wanting to comment on that, and therefore it's an unfair expectation, and therefore it often goes wrong?
See, I think if they have every right to comment on whatever topic they choose to comment on, but I have a problem with some really drastic statements that they make. I was talking to one comic, female comic, who's quite popular. I won't name her for obvious reasons, क्योंकि आपकी दाढ़ी में तिनका है, बता दोगे जाके. So I was talking about this. So there is one line which I say in my act that after 1947, only 2 Brahmins have been executed by states of India, and one of them was Nathuram Godse. So if you are a Brahmin, to get the death penalty, you really have to kill a Mahatma in this country. Now this female comic was talking to me and saying that, but you have to understand that सबसे ज़्यादा crime भी तो ये लोग करते हैं. Now that is problematic. That is like जो अमेरिका में बोलते हैं कि blacks हैं, ये करते ही सारे काम ऐसे हैं. तो that is problematic. आप caste के ऊपर बोलना चाहें, लेकिन caste की understanding भी होनी ज़रूरी है, क्योंकि otherwise you are contributing to the problem. So if you do not understand caste, which is a very intricate, एक कैंसर है हमारी सोसाइटी में, क्योंकि इससे कोई निजात नहीं है. So just like people used to make मायावती jokes, for example, about कि उसने pink bag पकड़ा हुआ है और वहाँ पे उतने statue बना रखे हैं. But I never heard them making jokes about Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium or Indira Gandhi International Airport. But because Mayawati belongs to a certain class and caste, it was easier for everybody to make fun of her. So that is problematic. So if you want to talk to me with a shallow understanding of any of these issues, I'm sorry, I'm going to pull your leg. And I'll probably make a joke out of you. So that is my point of view on this.
I mean, one second, I definitely agree with what he's saying. I think that if a comedian is going to talk about anything social, whether it's any kind of topic actually, really, that's sort of broad-ranging, like even like gender politics, right? So you want to talk about sexism, you want to talk about the issues that women are facing. I think whether you're a man or a woman, it doesn't matter. You just need to come at it from a point of view that's educated.
In fact, I want to come to that later in another context. But before that, Ashish, AIB has done a lot of political commentary, on demonetization, before that on other issues. And I think it was one of the first movers to really identify itself with political commentary. Do you think that has served you well? Or now, do you feel it's not worth the effort and, be honest, that, dude, we can make other jokes and stay out of shit and yet be a big deal?
Do we have all day? Because I can go on about this. But no, just to add on to what Sanjay said, because it connects with what you said, I think there needs to be better awareness. The reason I don't think that people should look up to comics for their news is because comics come from places of ignorance and bias, which hopefully journalists are trained to filter out. Right? It's a more objective reading of events. So comics are susceptible to that. So depending on who you follow and the amount of effort they put in, you could be getting all sorts of shit in the name of news. Right. So with us also, the stuff that we reacted to was pretty basic. The reason it blew up was because nobody else was doing it, and nobody had heard people like us talk about it at the time. Now, like if you go to an open mic now, if you go to look at the content on YouTube, there's plenty of people talking about it. But back then there were very few people talking about it. So it was something we instinctively reacted to. I think one of the biggest political videos that we liked was the Rahul versus Modi, which was not a take on either party. It was more about the conversation around the elections was rubbish, which it still is. So it was a take on the discourse then. So if you react to stuff that you inherently know and feel strongly about, as opposed to say, today I want to talk about mining in the tribal areas and their rights, I don't know enough. It could be a hot button issue, whatever. I'm not qualified to talk about that. I can make 10 jokes. They'll be dumb, surface level jokes. So you need to talk about what you react to. And if you really put yourself to it, like with On Air, we've done 2 seasons. We've had tons of research. We've had the best researchers around. We've had journalists on our research team. We've had academics. We've got fact checker and whatnot, and just to make sure what we're saying is accurate. So that's the kind of prep I need to put in to be
I
able
just
to put
want
out
to
news
press you a
comedy.
bit on this, but is it worth the effort? Because at the end of the day, you're not a philosopher.
Right.
You're a brand, and you have to monetize that brand.
Correct.
And
So-
the cost-benefit analysis of doing political commentary,
Yeah.
where the cost can be significant.
Lawyers are expensive. Lawyers are very expensive.
So
So that's a personal call. That's a personal call. If a comedian's like, this is my politics and I feel very strongly about it and here's how much I can fight the system, good for them. But reality shows that it's not entirely there. Even with something like an On Air, there are 3 sets of lawyers going through your script. So it's that. So it's really a personal call because a comic has to be true to himself.
Okay, Veer, you've performed in India, you've performed overseas, you've just put out a Netflix series. Congratulations, I believe it's spectacular and doing really well. So, weigh in on that, and also are Indian comics fighting with one arm tied behind their back because of, Article 19(1), reasonable restriction. So while we can be critical of them, you have to understand the reality that the law doesn't quite support them.
I'll tackle the first part. With depth or without depth, with awareness, without awareness, with gravity, without gravity, I don't think it should be problematic to make fun of anybody. Even if you don't know what the hell you're talking about, you should still have the freedom to say it, as this female comic should, as anybody else should. Because, look, you've got Touchwood, will continue to be successful. You've got 5 successful people here weighing in on the comedy that they've done. But 90% of the comedy community hasn't started yet. Now in your career, you go through various different phases. For the first year of your career, you're just writing shit that you think people will like. So you're writing about Bollywood, or you're writing about cricket, or you're writing about politics from that reason. But you're not informed yet. You don't even know what your politics are as a comedian. For the 5 years after that, you're probably writing what you like. So then you're writing personal stories, you're writing that stuff. And then you get into what scares you.
Where are you right now?
I'm somewhere into the 3rd phase. I'm not there yet. So if we're going to say every comedian that talks about a politician has to have awareness and has to be astute and has to be on point, and everybody on Twitter should agree with that guy, no new comic is ever going to do a joke about Narendra Modi or about anybody else. Just say it. It's a joke. And if it's not good, if it's not on point, and if it's problematic, the audience will let you know in 1 millisecond flat.
Yeah.
The worst thing that can happen is that you were ignorant, the audience let you know, and it's the only profession that allows for rebound from failure. You make a bad, politically incorrect film, you may not come back from that. You make a horrible song, you may not come back from that. This is the only profession in India where you can say some offensive shit and live to joke the next day and revamp yourself as an artist.
That's a good thing, because then you can keep evolving. And the second part, are we fighting with an arm tied behind our back?
I think we are, but I think we're fighting because it's the first reaction to stand up, in a sense. The first reaction to this milieu. I've been doing it in India for 9 years, right? When I came here, stand-up was Baman Irani, Cyrus Brocha, Ash Chandler, and Bharat Dabolkar. Very country club, Sobo, Delhi Gymkhana, people with martinis kind of comedy.
Dude, you haven't done Delhi Gymkhana. People are vomiting with beer.
Right, okay. But suddenly there was a kid who talked about his balls or talked about something else, and it was a new this thing of comedy. So here, political comedy is a very, very new thing. So I don't think people yet have audience protocol. It's just 5 years or 6 years in. So we're very like, "Arey, kaise bol diya?" And that will very soon be replaced by, "Arey, bol diya, kya bol raha hai?" Like, it's that.
I think it's an evolution process.
It's an evolution. So I think it'll evolve.
Okay, I just couldn't miss that you said there are 5 successful people on stage. I'm just wondering who the 6th
Sorry,
is.
I apologize.
You assumed I was talking about myself.
So there's 5 comedians on stage.
Okay, Anubhav, you've also performed overseas. You've written a script overseas, weigh in on the same subject. And also, you have a great act on news, and it can be satirized to death because of the state it's in. Is politics done to that, so now you don't want to touch it? Or is it still the hottest subject that you would put your time and energy on? Or is news the new politics?
I think, it should, going back to your first question, it should not technically be our job to comment on the on what's going on in the news, right? But what happens is, nowadays, it takes me about 5 minutes to figure out what the news is. For the first 5 minutes, there's a man shouting at me. This is terrible, that is terrible. What is it? 5 minutes later, I figure out, oh, there's a president-elect. Acha, acha. But for the first 5 minutes, he's giving us opinion. He's shouting at me for something, and I don't know what it is. What is it? For me to get the basic information of what it is, it takes a good amount of time in India, even in conversation. When you meet a person, 20 minutes later, you figure out, oh, isliye aaye hai. But that's the thing with news also, right? It never used to be like that. I remember Doordarshan, big fan. There's nothing exciting. He just told you what happened.
It was
And
Krishi Darshan, none of us.
I'm old enough to be, it was just, this guy would show up, Meenu, all the great newscasters, they were like, today 12 people in Iran died. Now the weather.
That's perfect, no?
Super.
It's great.
I know what happened. 12 people in Iran died. Super. Now when I listen, it's like, how terrible of Iran, go back to Iran. What happened? 12 people died. But that comes last. So I think that we've taken this, I think it's just fallen when you listen to this, as all these people said. It's just, I'm sure Shakya wakes up in the morning, switches on the TV, it's like you comment on how can you not comment on this, right?
Yeah.
What about the politics bit? Would you rather be commenting more on politics, or it's just not worth the effort?
I think in India, I don't know how you guys feel. In India, politics just seeps into you. Like, I want to sit with my friends and talk about all sorts of things. Tennis, this, that, and the other. 5 minutes into it, someone says, Modi, everyone's in it. I feel like, it's not even, but it's just how we live. Like, I don't even know why we are needed. Like, everyone lives like this. I'm surprised there aren't more comedians we are just talking about what we see in our everyday lives, right? If all these people stood up and just said this, that's sort of what we do. Right?
If you just read out the news, man, that's funny. You don't need to be a comedian. Just open a newspaper.
And politics is just grabs. Whatever. I remember when the Bengal elections were going on, everyone kept talking about Mamata Banerjee. And I realized that Mamata Banerjee, after a while, became a catalyst for anything. So if you're in the middle of a sort of father-son dispute, and neither of them are talking about whatever issues they have, how they haven't loved each other, Mamata Banerjee, drop it. And I feel like Modi is like that around. I feel politics sort of elevates all the things in India we don't want to talk about.
Okay, I just want to take off from there. Radhika, I think you have a slightly more uphill climb. I know you have read your book and I've seen your act. Everybody is politically interested, even if not necessarily informed, which is fine, as we pointed out, I think, correctly, because you shouldn't have a caste system that this is a club where only X amount of people should comment. So everybody has a view, informed or uninformed, on politics of governance. But gender politics is something, you can make a joke about something where the irony, you have to be aware of the irony to be aware of the injustice. For much of the country, you joke on gender. I'm sure you bomb a lot because when you make a joke about gender, most people don't even, what's
I never bomb, first of all.
I stand corrected. But is it a tough one? Is it easier to do the politics of governance and much harder to do the politics of gender because our country doesn't get it?
Yeah, I think politics of governance is more a general thing. Like Pal said, you put on the TV in the morning, all of us are watching the same jokers, screaming at each other, shouting at each other, whatever. We're all more involved with that. I think politics of gender, unfortunately or fortunately, affects really half of us, and some of the half also not interested. So, definitely when I say things, oftentimes there is a little bit of, why is she going that far, and why does she have to bring that up? So it's sort of a different way of saying, don't talk about Modi or whatever. We also in politics of gender have the line that you can't cross. So yeah, I definitely, any woman or man who wants to talk about gender politics has a hard time. But it's an interesting thing, like he was saying about the lady comedian who didn't know what she was talking about. I've heard men talk about women's issues very sweetly, like I know they're trying to help. But when you're a comedian, you have to come at it with a strong perspective and point of view. And I think that if you're not a woman and you're talking about a woman's period, it's tricky. It's very tricky. And I think those guys should be allowed to make those jokes. I'm not like, don't make the jokes, I'm not going to become that person. But I do think that then it comes to the same thing. sometimes, you know, when you're talking about certain things, you have to be extremely well informed, or you at least have to have a really strong perspective of it. Otherwise, you do a disservice to what you're talking about. I think that's the thing that he was trying to say.
You also comment on gender often, Sanjay. Do you face this problem coming from a man talking about gender? Because you do have some gender-related jokes, especially, no offense, because I've seen a Jat getting up in one of Sanjay's performances and say, how do you say that about Jats? He says, sir, I'm a Jat. But coming from a Jat household where the gender dynamic is not necessarily...
या सबसे ज़्यादा स्क्रूड अप जेंडर डायनामिक्स तो जाटों में ही है तो जिस शो की आप बात कर रहे थे या इवन वो हरियाणा का आप सेक्स रेशियो देख लो या यूपी में ऑनर किलिंग्स देख लो हमने बड़ा नाम कमाया इन चीज़ों में बट ये कि वो जिस शो की आप बात कर रहे थे जाट इन मूड फॉर एग्जाम्पल दैट शो वाज बेसिकली जो फालतू का मैचोइज्म है जाटों में जो गाड़ी के पीछे दिखा देते हैं जाट इन मूड जाट इन ब्लू मूड जाट ऑन बेल ये भी लिखा हुआ था वो उनकी जो अंडरस्टैंडिंग है शहर में जेंडर को लेकर उस पर काफ़ी मजाक था तो उसमें एक पर्टिकुलर सेक्शन था जाट एंड अ फेमिनिस्ट तो जहाँ पे आई वॉज टॉकिंग अबाउट मी डेटिंग अ फेमिनिस्ट और मेरे को क्या क्या प्रॉब्लम्स हुई और वो प्रॉब्लम्स ये हुई थी वो मेरी खुद की इनेबिलिटी थी कि आई वॉज नॉट एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड जैसे एंड देन यू कम अप विद लाइंस लाइक उसने मेरे को किताब दी थी सिमोन दी बोर की द सेकंड सेक्स पढ़ने के लिए एंड आई वॉज अ जाट यंग बॉय आई लुक्ड एट द बुक कवर उस पर सेक्स लिखा हुआ था मैंने सारी किताब खोली फोटो कहाँ पे बट ऑब्वियसली देयर वाज नो फोटो देयर नाउ सो दिस वाज माय वे ऑफ एड्रेसिंग द जेंडर अंडरस्टैंडिंग दैट वी बॉयज ग्रो अप विद बट इस पे एक फेमिनिस्ट बुरा मान ली वो कहती है कि तुम आप फेमिनिस्ट का मजाक उड़ा रहे हो मैंने कहा यार किसी ना किसी का तो मजाक उड़ेगा यार मैं अपना भी उड़ा रहा हूँ अपने बाप का भी उड़ाता हूँ दादे परदादे का उड़ाता हूँ और अब तो हमारे पास प्राइम मिनिस्टर भी इतने बढ़िया हैं कि वो रोज ही मजाक उड़वाते हैं बीच में उन्होंने राहुल गांधी के ऊपर कमेंट मारा था कि राहुल गांधी को देखना चाहिए इंटरनेट पे इनके ऊपर जोक्स चल रहे हैं तो मैंने भी बोल दिया सर आपको पता है कि आपके ऊपर लाइव शोज हो रहे हैं ना वो बंदी नाराज होगी कि क्योंकि मैंने उसमें इफ आई एम अलाउड टू स्पीक दोज लाइन्स हियर
प्लीज
क्योंकि उसमें एक पर्टिकुलर पार्ट था कि जाट एंड फेमिनिस्ट इज टू गुड टू लास्ट क्योंकि इस कहानी में मतलब कॉमेडी भी है ट्रेजेडी भी है ड्रामा भी है एक्शन नहीं है क्योंकि जब व्हेन इट केम टू सेक्स तो मेरे को डर लगता था कि पैशन में कहीं इधर उधर हाथ ना लग जाए थप्पड़ पड़ जाए साले मेल शॉविनिस्ट तो मैं नेशनल एंथम की पोजीशन में तब से लेटा हुआ हूँ वैसे था एंड देयर वाज दिस वन लाइन दैट नो सेल्फ रिस्पेक्टिंग फेमिनिस्ट विल गो डाउन ऑन हर नीज इन फ्रंट ऑफ अ जाट तो फेमिनिस्ट बुरा मान गई कि यू आर सजेस्टिंग दैट फेमिनिस्ट डोंट डू दैट मैंने कहा नहीं भाई मैं कुछ और कह रहा हूँ मैं बता रहा हूँ कि हम कितने बेवकूफ़ हैं
So then that it can go both ways. You know what I'm saying is one is a comic making a comment which some may find misinformed. Sometimes the audience may look at it a certain way. So that conflict is inevitable, right?
Yes, that is the whole purpose, you know, to make audience uncomfortable. You know, I started doing this because I wanted to say something on certain things. People found it funny, so I said फिर पैसे भी दे दो यार अगर आपको इतना मजा आ रहा है इसमें तो. But the whole idea is कि आप आईना दिखाओ ना लोगों को कि मतलब मैं कोई अपने आप को पेडेस्टल पे नहीं रख रहा बट अगर आप स्टेज पे जा रहे हो इतने सारे लोग सुन रहे हैं तो पावर तो आपके हाथ में है ना
Sure.
तो आप उसको यूज करो
Yeah, sorry, Veer, you want to come in, but before you do, just one more quick question. You also, you have a group of humorists, right? You have a...
Something like that, yeah.
So, I'd like you to talk a little bit about, as a viable model, as a profession, where do you see that going since you've been in it for so long? But yeah, first you can go ahead
I
with
mean,
what you want.
I'm bang on agreeing with what he said, and I think the big problem in India is also that audiences don't just get uncomfortable, but they get uncomfortable on somebody else's behalf. That is the big problem with India. Is, "Arey, wo bura maan jayega, fuck you," you know, and then they do something about it. That's the big problem. You know, I did a show, and I can't say for who it was, but it was a ladies-only show. All right.
Ooh.
Yeah, and
Ambani,
we're not stripping or anything.
With your
but-
clothes on.
But it's for a women's organization. And
Mumbai
most of the
Indians.
women in the audience. So I did this line about how the identification of feminism is very, very important these days. You have to identify as a feminist. And if you identify as a feminist, why do you have to then explain your version of feminism? Just identify as one. Feminism is like a gymkhana club. If you've got a card, you're in. You know what I mean? If you're a member, you're a member. And there's different versions of feminism. There's black feminism, trans feminism, Indian feminism, American feminism. And that's a discussion to be had. There was a punchline in there where I said, you know, Forget talking, what about behavior? Maybe it's more important to just act like a feminist than it is to identify as a feminist and write a blog about it. So what I'm saying is, ladies or feminists, if there's one thing you can learn from racists, it's less talk, more action. You don't see racists identifying as racists, writing blogs about racism. No, they just, they wake up in the morning and they do racist shit with commitment. And they've come so far. They're running Uttar Pradesh, America, they're running all these places. So, well done, racists. And then people got upset.
No way.
And the people who were upset by that, I promise you were not feminists. It was people who were afraid that feminists would get upset.
Wow.
Okay, yes, Anubhav, you.
I think there's a point that both were raised, which is that I think we still have a large issue of surrendering to imagination. Meaning, when someone is speaking something up, that it is entirely fiction is hard for some of us to believe. Every time we do a show, it's a story. We're all telling stories, all lies, right? In a film, to some extent, you still be, acha, he's a cowboy, that's not his horse, that's not his hat. He didn't bring it from home. To some extent, we believe it. But for the longest time in India, villains, people who played villains had a very difficult time getting a flat. Because people say, ye to villain hai, ye villain hi karega mera flat mein. For the longest time, the guy had to prove that he's a character. Just like with comedy, these are all fiction stories. After shows, my favorite thing is when people meet me and correct me on facts. Yeah. You said you were slapped a monkey in Calcutta. When? Which month? In August, there are no monkeys in Calcutta. Facts.
You were not at the bar the other day, you were not? Really? So just to add on to that, like but people are comfortable within the limits of their own biases. One example off the top of my head, I remember I was watching ATD at Andrews, and there was this uncle sitting in front of me. Full house, uncle बैठा था सामने. So every time you did a Congress joke, man, he would lose his tits. He would just, Modi joke, I think Varun Dover, just quiet. Just quiet throughout. Congress joke up. Modi, it was like clockwork.
IB का बंदा होगा.
Huh?
IB का बंदा होगा. Intelligence Bureau का बंदा होगा.
Probably. वो तो आ ही रहे हैं. Yeah, so it's that. It's everybody's comfortable and then उसके आगे.
Sorry, I know there's a thought bubble overhead when we were talking about feminism. Radhika must have been thinking, yeah, 4 guys talking about feminism, right? So,
Because men
speak
can't
now.
be feminists. That's our thing. No.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, touche.
No, I love hearing anything about feminism. It's always amazing. No, but I was just thinking about what he said. It's like with comedy, and that's where the journalism-comedy divide is. We are always appealing to our fan base. So exactly what he said. If somebody likes hearing about a woman talking about, like women who come to my show are okay usually with what I'm going to say next because they get it. Like I'm talking to them. So they're going to laugh about it regardless. But I think, and whatever I say then, I can make fun of Modi, I can make fun of Rahul Gandhi, I can make fun of whoever. They're my fans, so they're going to laugh at it. But that's not the case with journalism. With journalism, you're not appealing to your fans. You know what I mean? So that's where I think the divide is.
Yeah, but I think one doesn't replace journalism, but a bit like, shortly after 9/11, I think George Carlin said, it's the job of the comedian to find out where the line is drawn and cross it deliberately. Bill Maher said, I think a week after 9/11, when his show was taken off air, that, call them cowards all you want, what they did was horrible, but they're not cowards. It takes guts to fly a plane. And he was taken off air. What I'm saying is the humorist or the satirist doesn't tell you the story, but he pushes the line that journalists can then occupy. Because for a journalist to cross the line can be a little more tricky, whereas a comic can cross the line, destroy the line, and create the space for other storytellers to occupy. That role.
Yeah, see, I think one of the advantages all of us comics sitting here have, is that we are not burdened by the idea of false equivalence. यानी जो जर्नलिज्म में है आजकल टीवी शोज में देखो ऐसी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस के लोग आके बोलते हैं जो अब से 20 साल पहले बैंड थे, उनको बिठाना है फॉल्स इक्विवेलेंस के लिए कि हमें इनको भी आवाज़ देनी है, उनकी आवाज़ दे दे के अब वो आपके हलक तक घुस गए. ठीक है, वो मेरे पे कोई बंदिश नहीं है, मैं किसी की भी धज्जियाँ उड़ा सकता हूँ और अपनी मर्जी से उड़ा सकता हूँ। और लोगों को, जहाँ तक आपने बोला कि बंदर को थप्पड़ मारा, डेट बताओ, लोग तो पागल हैं सर। मेरे को कोई बोल रहा, कराची में बोल रहा था लिटरेचर फेस्टिवल में, कि अगर आपका ऑडियंस हंस नहीं रहा है तो आप क्या करते हो। मैंने भाड़ में जाए, मैं उनके एंटरटेनमेंट के लिए थोड़े हैं, वो मेरे एंटरटेनमेंट के लिए आए हैं। मैं दिल्ली में सर एक शो कर रहा था, वहाँ पे कास्ट के ऊपर था, आर्टिकल 14 के ऊपर, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के ऊपर, दलित राइट्स के ऊपर। तो आई सेड वन सिंपल लाइन कि अगर आप सचिन तेंदुलकर के खिलाफ कुछ बोलोगे, इस कंट्री में लोग आपकी हलक में से जवान निकाल लेंगे, लेकिन जेनोसाइड करोगे तो शायद प्राइम मिनिस्टर बन सकते हो। मेरे को बाद में आके नहीं, बट इट डजंट एंड हियर। मैं बाहर निकल के आया, एक बंदा आगे मेरा कंधा पकड़ रहा है कि तू मोदी जी के बारे में कैसे बोल रहा है ऐसे। मैंने कहा आई वाज टॉकिंग अबाउट राजीव गांधी।
Yes, come in.
I do think that, Bill Maher, that's fine about 9/11, all that. But in India, I think sometimes being a comedian, I don't know if you guys agree, but being a comedian is very hard because sometimes TV news does the job for you. Like, I was watching one TV channel, I won't name it, whatever.
Arnab.
Republic. Z. Headlines took.
Just a wild guess. I'm just throwing it in there.
I think.
Mahua 24.
That's true. I think Arnab is next level. I think he can do most of all our jobs, hospital, government, he can run on his own. No, this was another channel where, whatever, I won't name him, whatever, Rahul Kanwar, not important.
वैसा मिलिट्री फटीग्स पहन के खड़ा था क्या?
Huh, the military fatigues were
It was
superb.
lovely.
But when PVS Sindhu was taking part in that badminton final, 8 o'clock news on his channel, he was playing badminton. He was in badminton clothes, doing the 9 o'clock news, playing badminton. And when I saw that, I got depressed. I said, ये तो मेरा काम कर रहा है। तो मैं क्या करूँगा?
But just to the Kalin thing that gets quoted a lot, but people keep forgetting. It's nice and easy to quote it here because we're sitting in a comfortable space and all of that. But people keep forgetting how old that democracy is and how young ours is and how
Absolutely,
crazy
I
ours
agree
is. So it's a comic's job to push the line, sure, in theory. But sometimes the line calls up and says, "Tere office pe patthar phekunga." So then you are like, okay, aaj office band hai. And 30 people working here have to go home and their paychecks are in jeopardy. So there's that. So there's that you have to contend with. It's a reality. It's the
I just want to add to that, if I can. Yes. I also think, what you said, which is we take comfort in our fan bases, but we often don't place faith in other fan bases as well. Like, I'll give you an example. I did a show in Siri Fort where I was talking about Dr. Kalam. Dr. Kalam. And so it was about how the President of India gets Rashtrapati Bhavan, which is this amazing, this thing in your face, Mukesh Ambani, that kind of, it's a great house. And that every president should host MTV Cribs. And then it was, Pranab Mukherjee, Pratibha Patil, and Kalam hosting Cribs, basically, is the bit. And a gentleman came to my green room during the interval and he's like, "Aap Kalam ka naam kaise le sakte hain?" So I said, "Sir, with all due respect, it's my show. If you want a refund, we can do that. But I'm an artist and I'll talk about whatever I jolly well please." So you cannot take Kalam's name on stage. So he took a refund properly. Then he walked out. He called the cops. So now I'm doing my final act, this thing. We're closing the second half. And I start to see policemen fill up in the Siri Fort ka, this thing, and in the wings over there. So I come out and there are 25 policemen at Siri Fort.
I would have thought you'd said Don ko pakadna mushkil hi nahi namumkin.
But eventually the cops are like, we have to talk to him. And people were trying to say, listen, you leave
Under
it.
what dhara? Like what they have? I mean, they have.
They didn't know. They were just called by somebody in Delhi who had clout. Because everybody in Delhi is 2 degrees of separation away from power. So, somebody who had clout called the cops. They sat down and a policeman, this is verbatim what he did. He's like, "Aapne kuch bola?" I'm like, "हाँ, मैंने कुछ बोला." He's like, "बुरा बोला?" I'm like, "नहीं, मैंने बुरा नहीं बोला." किसके बारे में बोला? कलाम के बारे में बोला. अच्छा, जोक सुनाओ. True story. Okay, so I'm like, फिर एक शो है MTV Cribs और फिर वो कलाम होस्ट करता है, this and that. And Delhi policeman is like, अच्छा joke है, हम चलते हैं. And that's it. He enjoyed the joke. There was nothing wrong.
Delhi police is an all
this
bad.
happened. This happened.
So you have to place faith. Like we could assume saying only Veer's fan base or Radhika's fan base or Ashish's fan base or all of your fan bases will get that joke. But that guy gets that joke as well, and he's not part of my fan base.
This happened after the roast as well. We were giving our statements to the cops, and part of the statement is sometimes you should if you translate in Marathi, right? There's a guy who's translating live, and the guy's typing on a Marathi software and all that. So you have to translate roast jokes. Roast jokes are pretty 90% body part jokes, and we were terrified, and the cops like. I mean, he was laughing.
Then it's on
He knows it's a waste of time.
But it's an individual discretion.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's dangerous because there's no institutional backing.
But how can you with such a wide country? You know what I'm saying? The one thing that really annoys me is when elitist comics, and let's be clear, we are all elitist comics on this stage, shit on commercial comedy. It pisses me off. There's this common thing of, Arey, Kapil Sharma's comedy is, good evening, aap mote hain, aap ganje hain, aapke do daat hai, good night. That's Kapil Sharma's show, right? And we shit on that stuff. But that guy's catering to 1.3 billion people every week. Something that we are not able to do. We cater to 10% of this country. So are we really assuming that we are more intelligent and more informed and more this thing than those people?
I mean, if I may just push back on that, I get what you're saying, but I don't think one needs to be apologetic because it's like saying, you know, Jersey Shore or whatever Evening with the Kardashians will always have a larger viewership than 60 Minutes. Does that mean the people at 60 Minutes are smarter? Yes, they are. So, but I get what you're saying. One shouldn't, like, it doesn't serve any purpose if you say we are better than you, then you talk down to people, people don't talk to you, it breaks down communication. But I myself am a big critic of, Kapil Sharma's shows because, like, he made that joke on that dark girl. I don't remember, but she had done a film. She'd come there through, and
That's
she made
Krishna Abhishek actually. That's Comedy Nights Bachao. That's a
Okay,
different
yeah.
show.
So, but it's same. You get what I'm saying? Now, I think he has to be called out for it, and there will always be 15 minutes. I'm going to shut up. Questions.
Oh, I thought that was a bit or something.
Yeah, there was like a hard left.
There'll be questions from the audience.
This guy's damn good, man. He didn't break character and all of that. So he just went straight.
लोग मुझे नहीं आपको सुनने आए हैं. हाँ जी, right here, Venkatesh.
My name is Venkatesh. This is for pretty much anyone who wants to answer this. I follow this podcast by Malcolm Gladwell, in which there was an episode last year. He said satire doesn't really work because when you make a joke, he takes the example of Stephen Colbert and the Colbert Report, and he says when this guy does that, the Colbert act, the people on the left laugh thinking he's making fun of the right. The people on the right laugh because they think he's making fun of the left. And his point is satire just by itself may be funny but doesn't have a point. But if you want to make a point, you've got to be a little more explicit in your satire.
I don't have any of you heard that podcast?
Yeah,
Because
so-
I have heard that podcast. I have a view on it. I disagree with it. I think, there's the pressure to put out content if you have a podcast. I think he's over-analyzing it, and I don't quite agree with his. For those of you who haven't heard the podcast, his hypothesis is that satire actually makes matters worse because it either it makes something which should be taken seriously into a frivolous issue, and it only appeals to the already converted. But yeah, have you heard that one?
Yeah, I've heard that one. It's the one that people quote the most when talking about satire. So in the same podcast, he makes this point, which I agree with you on. The usefulness of satire, that comes into play when you attach an ambition to it. And to me, I think at best it can start conversation. It's not going to change things. So in the same podcast, he talks about an Israeli show that did the most biting satire that I can think of against the Prime Minister on the losses in the war. And it wasn't pro-Palestine as much as it was pro-peace and pro-common sense. And it was like, I heard it and I was like, ye 50 FIR hai. You know what I'm saying? It was that kind of thing. And that's where I think it's useful. But again, as comics, we do this and you go into any green room, comics will be whining about this. And I guarantee you, the day you remove the laws that protect establishments in their country against free speech, every comic will do 10 hours worth of material at India Gate, khada hoke about every holy cow. But until that, satire can only start conversations at best. People are lazy.
Okay, anyone else wants to weigh in on that? Yeah.
And just quickly, to me, I would think satire is also about perspective, right? there is serious commentary. There are lots of experts on so many issues. If there's no satire, what are we bringing to the table, right? Like, the whole point is we think differently about a certain subject, and you just provide that twist. And I think from audiences, the X millions of people that have seen all these people's shows, it's evidence that people laugh and people want to. So I don't think satire is dead here in India. I think it's very much alive. I think the trick is fighting the authorities to get the satire out to the public.
The satirist
disagree.
may be dead.
Yeah, we may be dead.
Yeah.
The young man there.
There's YouTube. Yeah.
You know, Ashish, around 4 to 5 years back, I heard a joke that you guys at AIB performed live, and it was about.
Oh man, now I'm nervous. You're quoting a joke that was performed live
Yeah,
4 or 5 years ago. Okay then.
If cricket commentary were happening and politicians were cricketers,
Right.
the commentator would probably say about Modi that he burned the pitch down. And
He bowled what?
burned the pitch down. He's burning the pitch.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
don't
So,
think. Oh, yeah.
a few years later at Royal Turds, every time you cracked a Modi joke, there'd almost be that 3-second pause before the audience decided, ha, haste koi problem nahi hai. Now even a dog filter gets you in trouble.
Right.
Are you worried? Are you scared before cracking, say, a joke about a riot 2002 or about Modi in general, live or on YouTube?
So, every comic, when we started doing it, was about that time, right? So, back then, 7 years ago, those jokes were edgy. I don't remember the cricket joke in particular. I'm not even sure if we made it. But that was considered edgy. Now, you have to think. I mean, it's a personal choice. I have to think. But that's because I'm an overthinker anyway, and plus 15 FIRs already. So it kind of gets you. And for nothing. We've got, like, it's not for satire. We haven't spoken truth to power for these FIRs. We put a dog filter on somebody. It's bullshit. It is, like, if somebody calls us satire, it is demeaning. That is not us being satirists. That's a meme for millennials. But...
The one thing I will add to that as well, and I mean, anybody in this audience is free to disagree with me, but I'm pretty convinced that I'm okay with the Modi joke. I'm pretty convinced that Narendra Modi is okay with the Modi joke, and that everybody in this room is okay with the Modi joke. It's other people that have made you scared of cracking a Modi joke. I'm pretty sure Modi sometimes reads that stuff and he's like, that shit is hilarious. I'm pretty sure that happens. Because that dude has a sense of humor. So I don't think Modi has a problem with Modi jokes. It's the guy who is the friend of the chacha of the bhatija of the party member in the village under the tree who has a problem with Modi jokes. It's not you and me or Narendra Modi.
Just to add on to that, the bigger you get, there is always someone looking to profit off you. There is no offense taken, it's an industry. So if somebody files a case against you, it's not because they feel hurt. They stand to gain from it in some way. And this is reminding me, Veer, you remember we used to do this Parliament sketch for headliners. So we used to, when I used to work with Veer way back, we used to do a sketch. A lot of the jokes you had come in on the punch-up, and it was astounding. The premise was we are in Parliament, Congress government, they are trying to legalize corruption because itna ho gaya, might as well legalize it. And it was like, you can't do that with whatever Parliament setting you want. You can't do that today. That used to happen live. This is before YouTube. The people who saw that, I think, have seen some of the best lines in Indian comedy, I think. And yeah.
The young man over there, but before that, Veer, okay, what you say may be true, but I think if that is true, it's very easy for him to dispel that myth, which he hasn't bothered to do. So I wouldn't be so sure. So, oh, okay, he did.
We need humor in public life.
Did everybody see the Modi tweet? We need more humor and like...
Yeah.
Daddy ने बोला ठीक है, so it's okay. We can...
वो साल में एक बार बोल देते हैं.
पापा ने बोल दिया, चलेगा. It's okay.
My question is, can we attach some purpose to comedy in India? Something like John Oliver does with his shows. Like he actually influence opinion of people with his shows. So in India, we generally hear कि लड़का लड़की jokes, politics पे joke, ठीक है. But can I?
Who wants to take that? Sanjay, you want to take
Thanks.
that? Raj, who wants to take that? Okay, all of us. Here, go.
Let's all say it at the same time. It'll feel like Arnab show.
Ideally, yes. See, satire is always anti-establishment. और ये हम सबको पता है किसी भी मुल्क की सबसे बड़ी दुश्मन उसकी गवर्नमेंट होती है. और ये सटायरिस्ट का एक कॉमिक का ही ये काम है कि वो उसको आईना दिखाने की कोशिश करे, उन लोग को पुश करता रहे. तो अगर इफ दैट हैपन्स देन इट्स गुड. अगर नहीं होता, वरना जर्नलिस्ट क्या, वो हाल आप देख ही रहे हो. कहा जाता है जर्नलिज्म इज द फर्स्ट ड्राफ्ट ऑफ हिस्ट्री. सर जी,
Yeah.
मैं इतनी अच्छी लाइन याद करके आया था, आपने सुन नहीं. No, I just said that journalism is the first draft of history.
Yes.
ऐसे कहा जाता है. लेकिन जिस तरह की हिस्ट्री हमारे जर्नलिस्ट लिख रहे हैं आजकल, जैसे नोट में चिप ढूंढ रहे थे, टीवी पे डिबेट में नोट में दिखा रहे हैं कि इसमें चिप है, गाड़ दो तो भी मिल जाएगा, उड़ जाए तो भी मिल जाएगा, और प्रूव कर रहे हैं कि हाँ मैंने चिप देखी है. तो ये हिस्ट्री लिखी जा रही है, तो आई गेस जो सटायरिस्ट हैं उन्हीं को ये काम करना पड़ेगा, और करना भी चाहिए. अदरवाइज मतलब मेरे को पर्सनली वही देखने में मजा आता है जो मेरे को अनकंफर्टेबल करे.
I think, look, comedians just write jokes, John Oliver included. All right, and if it's good comedy, then some things happen around it. It's very hard to plan that and say, I will give my comedy purpose. When you're writing a comedy bit, half the stuff that you think is going to work never works. Yeah. And little things that you never thought people would get involved with, they suddenly get behind. So, and so what I'm trying to say is, if the comedy is good, you will give it a purpose. The audience will give it a purpose, and you'll get behind it and challenge and make it viral. We can't do that. We can just write about the stuff that we see. What you will like, any comedian that tells you he knows what the audience likes or wants is lying to you. We don't know until we're on stage. We don't know.
I just have one example. When all of us start our careers, we're young, idealistic. It's everything we do, we think.
Ashish is still young, beta. Isko apne साथ क्यों लपेट रहे हो? He's young, you are not.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. One less FIR. That's true.
Yeah.
That's how we measure now. But we think, every show we are doing is idealistic. They'll change the country. Everything will change. So then you meet audience members. I remember once I met an audience member. He said, your show had so much purpose. I really loved it. I said, this is what I do it for. He said, I like you and I like that Tom and Jerry. Those are his two main favorites, this show and that. So then you realize after a while that the thing you're doing it for, they also have competing value systems.
Also, if you want change, the onus is not on the comedian. I'll give you an example. You guys remember the net neutrality debate? So we got into it because the people at Save the Internet got in touch with us. We put out a bunch of videos. Thankfully, it worked. They expected like 10,000 emails. We got like 1 million in a week or something. And Try was forced to take notice, blah, blah. You know what happened? But when you're doing something like that, literally every argument and every discussion is how do you make it simple for the end user? Usko 3 button ki jagah 2 button click karna chahiye. Fir 2 button ki jagah 1 button. That's the level you have to come down to, because people are not willing to click 3 buttons and 3 links to save the internet. And then you can't expect change, because we're comedians, we're going to sit around and make jokes. You have to get up and go out and do what we're asking of you.
Right.
At best. At best.
Rad, you want to come?
I mean, I thought I was going to change like the way every single woman thinks about like other women, right? Like a lot of my comedy is about that. And I remember I made a joke about blowjobs. I basically said that women don't like giving blowjobs, and a lot of women running around fucking saying that they do are making it hard for the rest of us. Because we don't like it, okay? And I just felt like that was such a stupid joke to make. But oddly enough, a lot of women would come to me after the show and they'd be like, I was so happy you said that. And my fucking husband was sitting next to me. And he was looking at me like, really? And I was like, yes, she's telling the truth. So in my own way, I feel like we do move a needle a little bit, one, like degree at a time. But at the end of the day, we're just making fucking jokes, man.
And
I
we
mean,
have
the
another
husband must have
question
gone home
here,
and asked for one
but
still.
if I can just give a less interesting answer, what you have to understand is America, we measure impact by American standards. America has one language, just one language throughout the country, and they have one historical context. Like the gold rush is true for all of America, right? Slavery, when the Martin Luther King movement. In India, for someone in Tamil Nadu, the Periyar movement is bigger than the Lohia movement in UP. So India, no matter how good these guys, can never have the impact in a cultural context where there's a uniform cultural context. Here, it is not uniform at all. That's why it's a problem. So, but Mr. Amar Singh has a question. I'm so glad to see you, sir. Okay, last question, because you were my favorite character when I used to write a show called Gustakhi Maaf for NDTV. So, we used to do a lot of satire on you.
सबसे पहले आप ऐसे दुस्साहसी लोगों को बहुत बहुत नमन, क्योंकि साहस तो सभी करते हैं, दुस्साहस कम लोग करते हैं. लेकिन मैं ये पूछना चाहूँगा कि इस देश में बहुत बड़े लोग संवेदनशील भी होते हैं. अभी हमारे एक साथी ने कहा कि मोदी को अपने मोदी जी को अपने मजाक के बारे में ज़्यादा फिक्र नहीं है। मोदी जी के लोगों को फिक्र है। नेता को हरदम चर्चा, पर्चा और खर्चा, 3 चीज़ें प्रिय होती हैं। चर्चे में रहे, पर्चे में रहे और चुनाव लड़ने के लिए, काम करने के लिए खर्चा मिलता रहे। तो चर्चा, पर्चा और खर्चा मिलता रहे। आप नाम लीजिए तो भी ठीक, गाली दीजिए तो भी ठीक, अच्छा दिखाइए तो भी ठीक, बुरा दिखाइए तो भी ठीक, बोलिए तो भी ठीक, न बोलिए चुप हो जाइए, हमारी बत्ती कूल कर दीजिए, ये बिल्कुल ठीक नहीं। लेकिन मैं आपसे पूछना ही चाहता हूँ, इसी देश में, इसी समाज में डॉक्टर हरिवंश राय बच्चन की कविता जब कुमार विश्वास पढ़ते हैं, उन्हें 21 रुपया पारिश्रमिक मिलता है उस कविता के पाठ का, तो अमिताभ बच्चन नोटिस भेज देते हैं। ऐसे संवेदनशील लोग भी हैं। कुमार विश्वास जो 21 रुपया पारिश्रमिक मिलता है, मनी ऑर्डर कर देते हैं। तो ये 15 FIR से मत डरिए, 50 से भी मत डरिए, जेल से भी मत डरिए। मालूम है बोलना बहुत मुश्किल है, बोलना आसान है और करना बहुत मुश्किल है, लेकिन अगर आप 15 FIR से डरेंगे तो फिर हमारा क्या होगा?
Okay, I think, but yeah, the mic was a little unclear, but I think the comment was that there are enough FIRs that side too, correct, Mr. Singh? Is that what you said? आप पर भी कई FIR हैं, वहाँ पर भी all done. Achha, Supreme Court has. So thank you for your comment. I just like to wind up. Sorry, I'm being told by the floor director that I have to wind up. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Veer, Sanjay, Radhika, Ashish, and Anubhav.